strange, mysterious UFO sighting from 1742. The location was Queen Square in London, and this was reported as a scientific UFO observation. We have UFO sightings reported from antiquity. We even have UFO reports from our fighter pilots recently, but we've also had before Christ reports, one of them being in Rome, 216 BC, in Rome's Boaria Square. An ox spontaneously rose to the third floor of a house, and then, frightened by the people shouting and screaming, the ox fell down on the ground from the third floor. Images of ships, UFOs, were seen in the sky, and the Temple of Hope was hit by lightning. This happened during the consulate of Gneo Servilio Gemino in the second consulate of Gao Quinzio Flaminio, 215 BC and 217 BC. So you can understand they're quite common in the ancient world. Now, this having to do with the Queen Square report from 1742. Micah Hanks of Mysterious Universe wrote this. We know that we have many strange aerial occurrences, even recently, and these are not to be ridiculed because they're quite serious national defense problems. Now, in most cases, these objects, they're hypersonic, and they go as fast as a thought, actually, into the air and also underwater. Now, in most cases, these objects, the occurrences can be identified as natural atmospheric phenomenon, but there are examples of quote-unquote sightings or apparitions, aerial phenomena that were chronicled by Hans Glasser in the middle of the 1550s, and they depicted everything from blood rains, a phenomenon known today to be caused by sand or other particulates that especially come to Europe from Africa, for example, carried in the air and subsequently brought back to Earth through rain, and also the parhelion and sundogs that we know of. Now, these precursors of the Forteana that would begin to appear in the 20th century are entertaining. There are incidents from sightings before our modern era of flight, and they are still mysterious. One of the most notable sightings of this odd aerial sighting was the 19th century strange ball of lightning observed by Cromwell Mortimer. He was a medical doctor, MD, secretary of the Royal Society of London in 1742, and Mortimer gives an account of this object. It was subsequently published in Philosophical Transactions in 1746, and it states, "As I was returning home from the Royal Society to Westminster on Thursday, December 16, 1742, at 20:40, so it was about 8:45 in the evening, being about the middle of the parade in St. James Park, I saw a light arise from behind the trees and houses in the south by West Point, which I took at first to be a large skyrocket." What is a skyrocket? I mean, what is it? They had skyrockets at that? What is a skyrocket? So he said at first I thought it was a large skyrocket, but when it had risen to the height of about 20 degrees, it took a motion nearly parallel to the horizon, but waved in this manner and went to the north by East Point over the houses. As Mortimer watched the object, he believed its path brought it directly over the Bloomsbury district of London, passing over Queen Square and making its way in the direction of the canal adjacent to it. Mortimer notes that he, quote, lost sight of it over the Haymarket, end quote. So how did the object move that he was observing? He gives us a very detailed description. He says this motion was very slow. I had it about half a minute in view and had time enough to contemplate its appearance fully, he said. So it was during these 30 seconds. He says it is not prolonged by any stretch of the imagination. It certainly is lengthier than most observations of meteors, for example. Celestial rocks don't go that slow. So this was enough time, though, that Mortimer's observation could be commemorated in a diagram that gives us an idea of the appearance and the behavior. And at that time, they used to write S's with an F, as did the Germans. So his note said, and went on to the north by east point over the houses. It seemed to be so very near. I thought it passed over Queen Square, the island in the park, across the canal, and I lost sight of it over the Haymarket. Its motion was so very slow that I had it above, and there's half a minute in view, and therefore had time enough to contemplate its appearance fully, which was what is seen in the annexed figure. Here's a figure of this thing, A, B, C, D, E, whatever. And on this diagram that he very nicely illustrates, Mortimer explained the mechanics of the object. Object A is seen to be a light flame turning backwards from the resistance the air made to it. BB was the bright fire like burning charcoal, enclosed as it were in an open case of which the frame CCC was quite opaque, like bands of iron. And D, fourth, a train or trail of light flame, more bright at D, and growing gradually fainter at E, so as to be transparent more than half of its length. And he says the head seemed about half a degree in diameter, the tail was 3 degrees in length and about 1/8 of a degree in thickness. So many have discussed this, speculating over centuries as to what the object could have been. Although ball lightning has been proposed, it's unusual for a phenomenon like this to last more than a few seconds, although there are notable exceptions to this, as apparent from various Earth light reports involving geophysical illuminations around the world. And another case may be a meteor, although the object in question remaining in the sky for half a minute would have to be exceptionally long duration meteor if this were the case, which is never the case. A meteor doesn't take 30 seconds. So after more than 2 centuries, it's still not solved. It's still a mystery. And they can't estimate with any certainty what Mortimer had seen on his return from the Royal Society that evening of 1742. But it could be that this is the most detailed report of anomalous aerial phenomena from that period in history, and it was observed by a man of science. In fact, many ways, the quality of Mortimer's observation is better than most modern UFO reports. So he did a very nice sketch of it, and the very strange thing is that it lasted for half a minute. And obviously he would not be lying about this because he was a man of science and coming back from the Royal Society. Amazing. So we seem to have the recordings of scientific reports of UFOs over our skies from way back when, not only from ancient Sumeria or ancient Rome, but even recently in the 18th century from England in this case. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.